Update. Am I the a-hole for gifting my granddaughter a custom-made cookbook instead of something a little pricey? Original post. Hello everyone. My friend's son told me about this app and told me I should post it in here to get some unbiased opinion. I, 59 female, have 3 kids. 39 male, 35 female, 32 female. My husband died 10 years ago, and from then on I have been on my own. I live in a small townhouse. I am not poor, but I am comfortable with my living situation. So, recently, my son Keith, 39 male, told me he wanted to throw a party for my granddaughter Rita's 18th birthday because she is going to be an adult. He wants the date to be memorable to her. I know my son. He loves his kids very much. I love my grandkids as well, but I know he's going to buy her some expensive gifts. I, on the other hand, cannot afford to buy something expensive, but I wanted my gift to be thoughtful and show efforts that I love Rita as well. So, I had an idea. I have been a home cook for more than 30 years. I used to work in a restaurant before, and then moved on to having my own catering business in my early years. I loved creating new recipes and altering the old ones to my own. So, I had an idea to make a compilation of some of my signature recipes and make them into a book. I wrote down 20 recipes in my computer, and with the help of some grateful people, I was able to print them out. I then had another idea to make the recipes into a cookbook. So, I went on a publication house and told them to make a cookbook that looks like an ancient book, except it will contain recipes. I did that because 1. Rita has a passion for cooking. She wants to go to culinary school and hope to open her own restaurant chain. 2. Rita also likes things that are like medieval. She is into one of those Lord of the Rings kind of things. So, I thought it was a thoughtful gift for my lovely granddaughter. When the day arrived, I packed it up along with her favorite cookies. When it was time to open the presents, she got a lot of stuff. And when it's time for mine, I was happy. She opened it and gasped. I explained it to her that the book contains all the signature recipes I have made over the years. I don't want her to have it. She said thank you and that she appreciates my gift, and someday she will try to recreate it. Everyone seems to be happy, except for her mother. She pulled me to the side and told me I should have made more effort into her gift and not give her some cheap book. I was appalled. I told her Rita likes it, and that's all that should matter. And she told me Rita only pretended to like it because she doesn't want to be disrespectful, and Rita is still a child who doesn't know anything. It also added that it was a little narcissistic of me to make Rita's gift about myself and my cooking, rather than it being about her. Now I am sad. If Rita didn't like it, I would be happy to replace it. But it is now making me wonder if my gift was actually cheap or not. Should I have just bought something a little bit pricey rather than giving her a cookbook? Now for the top comments before reading the update. In 10 years, she won't remember most of the pricey gifts. She will have yours and a piece of your heart forever. And they'll be broken or out of fashion. This book shows how much she knows about her granddaughter and their close relationship. I have a feeling Mommy's jealous about the love, thought, and care you put into this particular gift. Anyone can buy expensive gifts, but not many can give a priceless gift like Grandma gave her. Yes, this is one of those easy answers. The custom cookbook is going to be a treasure, not a hole. No, that was a wonderful and thoughtful gift. Rita's mother has no class. Thank you. You put effort in it. Try to get her something unique and something for her. Sounds like you nailed that. Her love for cooking and ancient-looking things, etc. If for her mother it's cheap, then she seems cold-hearted. Gifts that come from love and thoughts about a person is for are one of the most precious. Not the a-hole. Rita's mom is the a-hole. I wish I had my grandma's recipes. She passed 10 years ago, and I miss her so much. My grandma handwrote our multiple family recipes that I've framed and hung up in my dining area. She died 7 years ago, and those are some of my most treasured gifts. They were just hastily written out and given to me for zero special reason. This gift will outshine anything else she got, and I feel her mother was jealous. Honestly, I'm thinking about doing this with a few of my recipes for my kids. Thanks for the great idea, and forget about anything that jealous shrew has to say. Not the a-hole. OP, you are not the a-hole. Rita's mother is. Some people are materialistic, and she sounds like one of them. I'm sure Rita's gasp was with pleasure. Why not ask Rita directly? Her opinion is the only one that matters. For what it's worth, I would love a gift this thoughtful. If you ever decide to sell the book/recipes, please let me know. Not the haul. Now for the update. Hello. I want to thank everyone for your kind and warm comments. They are so nice and full of love. I know people have asked about what happened next, so I wanted to give you some update too. I saw some of you advised me to ask Rita privately if she liked the book I gave her or not. And I did. I called her up a few days ago and just wanted to chat with her. After some small talk, I asked her if she liked the present I got for her. She told me she loved it. She has been reading all the recipes and will try to recreate them. She then out of the blue asked me if she and her brother could come to my place and stay. I told her they can, whenever they want. But I find it a little odd. They did stay over at our place when their mom and dad were going on a vacation, though I know for sure they are not. So the next day, my son Keith drops both my grandchildren Rita and Tom at my place. I know something was wrong as soon as I saw my son's face. I invited them in. I asked Rita and her brother to go to the kitchen and have some snacks, and I asked my son if everything was alright. My son looked a bit sad and angry. It was a mixture of both of those emotions. Then he revealed to me he had an argument with his wife and that he is seeking a divorce. Obviously, I was shocked. They never seemed like a couple who would have problems. Whenever I saw them, they were like happy couples who couldn't stay away from each other for a long time. I asked him in details what exactly happened. Why is he seeking for a divorce all of a sudden? He didn't go much into details. He just said he and his wife got into an argument because of my gift. His wife apparently told him to make me buy a second gift that looked a little bit expensive, like something designer. He said to her that it was not necessary, that Rita likes it, and that's all that matters. They then got into a significant altercation over this. My son confessed that he has been unhappy in his marriage for a long time. They would fight because of my daughter-in-law's habit of spending. My son does earn a lot, but to see his wife spending his hard-earned money on useless things really makes him mad. He tried to have a conversation with her because of it, but it failed. He also said there were other problems too, but he doesn't want to talk about it until he sorts this out. I regret that their argument was sparked by my gift. I hope they are able to sort it out. Regardless of what my son decides, I will be there to support him. I do feel bad for Rita and Tom. Rita is an adult and she can understand, but Tom is still 14. He has to grow up in an unpleasant situation. Before leaving, my son requested me if I could keep both of his kids with me for a while because the tension in his house right now is not healthy for them. I happily agreed. I don't mind having my grandkids with me. On the other hand, Rita has promised to help me find and compile my old recipes. Some of them are really old, and the journal I wrote it on has been in bad condition. I think writing them in a Word document is a better option. Also, a lot of you guys asked me to release my cookbook. I don't know if I will do that. That sounds like a good plan, but I will put a pin on it for now. I have a lot on my plate right now. The gift was truly a blessing in disguise for the son. That daughter-in-law sounds too materialistic. I agree. There's a difference between enjoying being pampered by your loved ones and expecting super expensive gifts from everyone. She didn't even want the gift to be expensive. She wanted it to look expensive or to be something she could use herself. Opie exposed the narcissist fully by gifting the granddaughter something intensely personal between the two of them. I grew up with my grandma making the best meals, sometimes from only a few ingredients. She passed 20 years ago, and I would give anything to have something like this from her. Right? So many years of curated recipes. That's priceless. My mom died when I was 16, and I can't tell you how many times I have wished I had some of her recipes. This was an amazing gift. I'm sorry for your loss. I will gladly share some of my family's recipes. They're delicious. The secret ingredient is always love. The Heritage Cookbook sounds just so lovely. My grandma passed away having written down most of her recipes, but only in single copies. A few years ago, I made it a point to sit down and find out what people actually wanted recipes for and sought them out. Once I had them, I went on to a custom photo printing website and created a family cookbook, including recipes from my mom as well, and dozens of family photos. The only people who were in on it were my mom and dad, since they helped us get everything together. I ended up ordering something like a half dozen of the books and gave them out for Christmas presents to family. It wasn't extremely expensive, I want to say they ran around $20 each with shipping, but they were beloved by all that received them. Last story. Am I the a-hole for screaming at my stepmom that I don't want her stupid family heirloom and to give it to her own daughter? My dad married Lucy when I was 8. My dad and Lucy met at a support group for grieving widows and widowers, and they were dating almost immediately after meeting, which was 6 months after my mom died and 11 months after Lucy's first husband died. Lucy has a daughter, Macy, who was 7 when her mom married my dad. Macy and I never got along. We are toxic together. Pretty sure the reason is we were 2 grieving kids who lost a parent, struggling with the loss of said parent, and then our surviving parent marries the others. And suddenly the step-parent is being over pushy and calling us their kid, and we're not getting what we need from our actual parent. Lucy was especially bad. She called me her daughter before they were officially married, and she told me years ago that she was saving her engagement ring from her first marriage for me, which was a family heirloom her parents gave her first husband. I told her that I didn't want it, and she ignored me. She even ignored her own parents, saying they wanted Macy to have it and not me. She was offended they would treat me as less of a grandkid. But it's true. They are not my grandparents, and I'm not their granddaughter. Now, I'm 17 and Macy is 16. And I don't know exactly how it all happened, but Macy was told by Lucy that the engagement ring from the marriage to Macy's dad was being saved for me, as her oldest daughter, and Macy lost it. She yelled and screamed at her mom that she is her daughter, not me, that her dad proposed to her with a ring not mine, and if anyone should get it next, it should be her. I was yelled at next. At the time, I was oblivious to the fact she had yelled at her mom, but Macy called me a thief, said she hated me, said I should have died with my mom instead of stealing hers and stealing a memory for parents' marriage, and that I was a selfish witch. I couldn't believe Lucy told her own daughter she was giving me her ring, after I said I wouldn't want it. So then I yelled at Lucy. I told her I didn't want her stupid engagement ring, that it was meaningless to me, that she would never be my mom. And if she thought the ring would do anything but go to waste if saved for me, then she was mistaken. I told her to give it to her own daughter and stop being such an uncaring mom to her. My dad told me about the stuff Macy said to Lucy after I had stormed off. He told me I piled on Lucy, and it wasn't right. He asked me why I had to be so angry about the ring, and I told him nobody but Lucy wants me to have it, and I'm seen as selfish when I don't want the damn thing, and told her as much. He said I owed Lucy an apology and to give her as my mom a chance, because he's tired of us being a fractured family. He also told me I was a real a-hole to Lucy. I told him that's what you get when 2 fractured grieving families get forced on each other. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Ironic that this ring is the one thing you and Macy can finally agree on. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, not the a-hole. Yep, but I can blame her for being angry at me too. Her mom is focused so much on me that she wasn't there for her when she needed her to be. I just hate that I am now the bad guy when I never ever wanted or accepted a ring. I do mildly feel sorry for Lucy and your dad. It must be really hard when your kids don't get along. But as you yourself rightly say, you can't force people to bond, especially when you're both grieving, etc. And yeah, I feel for Macy too after reading what you just added. I get what the 2 parents were trying to do, and why, and how hard it can be. But man, they need to let it go and allow the 2 of you to coexist neutrally rather than try to force closeness. Yes, I know it bothers them that we also don't really care for the spouse either. Lucy's not someone I would go to with a problem nor particularly care for, and Macy feels the same way about my dad. They tried to make a family, but it was always a name only. Like I say, ironically, this could bring you and Macy closer at last. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Lucy seems to have no freaking idea how to parent even her own kid. The ring thing is so bizarre and horrible. They can be, but I don't think Macy will ever consider me a friend. After the ring thing, I don't know that she won't always hope that I die and leave her alone. Lucy and my dad are both like that now, but my dad wasn't always. Grief changes people and not always for the better. Not the a-hole, but your father and Lucy are. I'm really sorry for you and Macy. I cannot imagine what goes through Lucy's mind when she wants to give the ring for you instead of Macy, as it belongs to her father's legacy. You have the right to have the memory of your mom, and Macy has the right of the memory of her father. Your step-parents shouldn't force themselves in a situation where they want to completely replace the original parent. I think you should seek therapy as a family. I honestly don't care about making us a family after all this time, and I'm almost free from this. Dad and I don't really have much of a relationship, and I'm pretty sure it will be the same for Lucy and Macy in another couple of years. Family therapy only works when you want to be a family, or are a family. Ours was always more in name only than practice, and for me it's not worth saving anything. Maybe if I'm just gone, Macy will actually get a ring. Or maybe Lucy will always hold on to it and think of it as belonging to me, but I won't play a part in that. Have you tried to speak to Macy that you don't want a ring? That you explained when it was mentioned that you said it should go to Macy and that you wanted nothing to do with it? Or would that be an effort in futility? I think trying to talk would make things worse. Too many years of bad blood between us for that, and too much of Lucy choosing me over her own daughter for Macy to want to hear me speak about it. Am I the a-hole for calling my aunt classless and outing her biggest secret to my whole family? Original post. I, 25 female, have always been really close to my cousin Dave, 22 male. He had a harder time growing up because his parents had some financial difficulties. He never went to bed hungry, but they didn't have much money for luxuries. My uncle met his wife in a strip club where she was dancing. No one in the family knows this, but she left that work when she got married. They have a business, which Dave works for, that struggled for years but was one of the businesses that became vital during the pandemic. So things really turned around for them and they're making bank. This means that a few months back, my cousin could have an amazing wedding at a 2-month-long worldwide honeymoon. I was really happy for and proud of him. I grew up solidly middle class. Nothing lavish, but we had some things that some would consider luxuries. My parents, however, were not in a position to pay for college for me, which I was chilled about, and I got loans. I have been working for 2 years and I still live with my parents while I pay off the loans. I unfortunately couldn't get my master's because it wasn't financially viable. Last weekend was my birthday party and my cousin showed up without a gift. His wife made a comment, jokingly, about how they can't afford anything after spending X dollars on their wedding. None of this bothered me because gifts are not an expectation, but my dad was visibly upset. I asked him about this and he opened a can of worms. It turned out that I used to have a healthy college fund until my mom secretly lent it to my aunt and uncle to help save their business when I was 15. The agreement was that, as soon as they were able, they would pay it back to my mom. They haven't returned a dime. Well, they have in the last 3 years bought a second house, flown first class overseas twice, and paid for Dave's wedding and honeymoon. Their excuse is that I am done with college and their son works hard, so he deserves it more. My father got so annoyed at my aunt while relaying this to me that he decided to kick them out. While trying to calm him down, I said, "We both know she only thinks about herself and Dave. If she had any class, she wouldn't dress like she's still a stripper." I was so preoccupied I didn't realize that my entire family had quietly walked up with the candles lit ready to sing to me, and they heard everything. My aunt left and has since sent my mom a message that we will never be seeing that money as it is now compensation for her pain and suffering. I didn't mean to out her and be so rude. I was dealing with a lot of emotions and shock over this. I still am. My family doesn't know why we were so angry, so they just think I'm an idiot, and I don't want to tell them the whole story. But I'm not sure if it's excusable either way. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You acted from emotions. And to be honest, your aunt is an a-hole. Do whatever you can to get that money back. Use the text your aunt sent to sue. People like that are horrid. You can still get a master's if you want to. They stole from you. I low-key think your mom is too, since she lent the money in secret initially and is probably a big reason your dad hasn't pushed for payback. Not stay whole and tell the family the whole story so they can understand. And sue. If your dad has any evidence of the loan and her agreement to repay it, I would 1. Pay a lawyer for a 1-hour consultation regarding the likelihood of suing her. The good news is that she has money and assets. 2. Armed with information from the lawyer, your parents should approach your aunt and propose a repayment plan. Emphasize that the loan was an agreement and that they aren't willing to write off such a substantial sum. This conversation is a courtesy notification, not a negotiation. You won't get your aunt's agreement here. If she was a reasonable person, she'd have already paid back the money. 3. I would disregard any noise about your insult. It's a red herring and a chance to divert focus from their theft. 4. Once you assemble evidence of a broken agreement, Pick one reasonable, credible member of the extended family and share the situation with them. Ask for their guidance around persuading your aunt to return the stolen money without resorting to a lawsuit. There's a small chance they can help, and a nearly certain chance that they'll take care of the family rumor mill, not the a-hole. The message sent to mom saying they're not repaying is evidence of the agreement. Back it up now, and in more than one spot. It's not just an evidence of the agreement. It resets the statute of limitations because it's an acknowledgement of the debt. It is potentially vital evidence necessary for you to prevail in court. Now for the edit/update. The money was in a savings account that was going to be used for my college costs. It was in my mom's name and so legally hers. She told my dad when I was applying for colleges, so he's known for some time. I don't know if it affected their relationship and don't plan on asking. Her and my father have done little to get the money back because she's not coping well with stress due to being sick. My aunt was upset because I outed a 25-year-long lie, more so than people knowing her previous work. I have apologized to her for what I said via text and have left it at that. I have yet to hear back from her. I have also confronted my prejudice against workers privately. I won't deny I have judged her because of it. It's not something I'm proud of. This blew up at a bad time because my dad had overheard that my aunt is so proud of my cousin for moving out and living on his own at 22. He just boiled over in my behalf. For the update, my cousin asked me to meet him alone this morning. It turned out he knew nothing about it at all. His mom has been keeping it quiet. He took this week to consult with a lawyer to figure out how much they owe. He has also recently uncovered two things. Firstly, the business has been evading tax, so he is very glad we didn't take legal action. He has started the process to come clean and pay that back. Secondly, she also borrowed money from my grandparents, a decent amount, which she never paid back. They have since passed on, so the lawyer said that amount will form part of the estate and will be owing between the three siblings. My cousin offered to sell his house to pay in full immediately if need be, but as an alternative, he and his lawyer have created a payment plan that would pay for my masters immediately. They will take over my loan repayments immediately. Once it is paid, they will continue paying my mom back monthly until the total is settled. We will obviously be going with a plan where he doesn't lose his home. Despite my cousin and his lawyer seeming fair, they have both advised me to find my own lawyer for my mom's interests, and they have offered to pay for that too. Because of the age of the loan and lack of effort to collect on my mom's side, they could legally contest it, or some of it, but my cousin won't be doing that. My cousin apologized to me profusely and said that he wouldn't ask me to keep the secret from the family but appreciates that I kept it to myself and hopes we can continue that as long as he upholds the agreement we make. My cousin is an amazing human, and we will work with him to try to make the impact of his mother's actions on his life be as little as possible while remaining fair. And the best part of all of this was that he planned on giving me my gift after my party when we were alone because he didn't want to steal my thunder. It was a gift card, and inside the envelope was a sonogram. I am going to be a godmother soon, and I can't wait. Looks like the apple fell far, far from this tree. Cousin has morals and ethics his parents didn't teach him. That takes integrity. Tree was on a hill, and the apple did well to roll away. That's a new one. My husband is nothing like his family, and I constantly tell him he slingshotted himself off the tree. Lol. God, I feel sorry for that cousin. What a freaking bomb to have dropped on your head out of nowhere. Kudos to him to make things right, but still, that sucks. Never ever lend to family or friends with the expectation of payback no matter what they say. If you can't let go of the money in favor of the relationship, don't let go of the money at all. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to speak to my sister because she wouldn't let my daughter be a flower girl at her wedding? She originally was a flower girl. And causing multiple family members to boycott too? Plus updates. Original post. So I, 28 female, have a sister, 26 female, who got married last month. I'm gonna be blunt. My sister has always been one of those people that has to have everything perfect to the point that sometimes it was hard to be around her. But she was my little sister. And I've no other siblings, so I always made excuses when she'd hurt me when I was doing things right in her eyes. So I was kinda nervous when she asked me and my daughter 4 to be bridesmaids in February because I knew she was gonna be a massive bridezilla. Over the last few months, we have had to practice multiple dances, pay for very expensive dresses, and put up with her tantrums. I told her from the start if she was anyway nasty to my child, I wouldn't stand for it. She assured me that she'd never be nasty towards her favorite person in the whole world. Well, her now husband's little cousin AITA started coming to dance practice with her mom, and my sister started to ask her to do little things, like show my daughter how to throw the petals. I honestly thought she'd make them both flower girls for a while, but when she started to make my daughter sit out and have the little girl do her poem, I knew what was gonna happen, but prayed I was wrong. I invited her out to coffee a few weeks before the wedding and asked her what was going on. She told me she was glad I brought it up, because she was looking for the right time. Apparently, my 4-year-old wasn't doing everything right, and she was afraid she was gonna mess up her version by saying the wrong thing or not doing the dance right on the day. I told her she's doing a pretty good job and everyone was always praising her. Sister giggled and said it is not their day now, is it? So it's not up to us what's good enough for her wedding. I asked her straight up, did she think her niece wasn't good enough to be in her wedding? And she replied with, not as something big as a flower girl, but to attend. I asked her how was I gonna break it to my daughter who's excited about being in the wedding, and she just told me to figure it out. I told her I'd give her a day to rethink her decision. If not, we wouldn't be attending nor speaking to her ever again. Then left. Well, 2 days went by, so I couldn't put it off any longer and broke the news to my child. Even though I tried my hardest and sugar-coated it as much as possible, the news still broke her heart. She cried herself to sleep. So did I and my husband. Well, after a week when I was a no-show for anything, my sister started to panic and started to get everyone to talk to me, even drop off gifts for my daughter. When I told them why, a good number of our family, including bridesmaids, dropped out. We ended up going for a few weeks away with no phones. When we came back, my sister had sent me multiple letters and emails apologizing, while her in-laws and husband have called me an a-hole for doing what I did. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. For the people saying OP is the a-hole, consider. OP was expected to bring the child to the celebration after being told she was no longer going to be the flower girl. Yay! She gets to watch another child do the thing she was so excited to do and not make a fuss. Get a babysitter? Great! Watch her parents get fancy and leave to go to a celebration she is no longer a part of. OP's choice to not go to the wedding was correct. Her immediate family is more important than her sister. OP did not tell other people to not go to the wedding. She told them what happened when they asked. Everyone made their own decision. I am sure this was not the only crappy thing the bride was doing. Also, she had to attend multiple classes for the dances, which is a ridiculous amount of time, only to be told she can't be in the wedding. That's even more upsetting to the child, as she may think that she did something wrong to get her kicked out. Also, this girl is 4. This is probably the most upsetting thing that has happened to her in her short life. Agreed. OP did the right thing for her daughter and I applaud the way it was handled. Your daughter may not fully understand right now, but when she gets older, she'll know you have her back. You're a great mama, OP. Not the a-hole at all. Not the a-hole. She can't expect a 4-year-old to try everything perfect. And you can't control what other family does after they hear about bridezilla. And she's an idiot. Because everyone knows that mistakes by little ones is the cutest thing ever and makes the day. And we just figured out the problem. Sister Zilla is worried about having the attention off of herself for 5 minutes if people are watching an adorable child. Now for the updates. My brother-in-law saw this post and told my sister, who cried reading all of your comments. How do I know? Because they showed up at my job knowing I wouldn't want a scene. They begged me to delete the post before people they know see it, and kept apologizing. Finally, my sister said she might be pregnant. I told her even if she is, pregnancy doesn't wash away all the horrible things she's done. And I hope her husband's siblings never treats her child the way she treated mine, because I don't plan to be a part of her life. She busted into tears saying she was sorry and that she loves my daughter. I told her to leave before I called security, and her husband tried to talk to me alone because I was making her so upset and everyone was cold towards them because of me. I told them no. Everyone was cold because Cinderella and Prince Charming forgot that after treating everyone like trash, that no one wanted to be in their happy ever after. They didn't like my mocking tone and raised their voice at me. My boss told them to leave, who knows the situation and has a 5-year-old herself, so she's on my side. My sister-in-law's mother-in-law reached out to my parents, asking for everyone to meet up on neutral terms so we can all work out our differences. I'm gonna go to this dinner party because I want to hear their story and officially tell them to leave me alone. I will update you guys. Important edit. My sister's photographer saw this post and reached out to me on here. She knew my full name and she gave me her Instagram to confirm. This goes deeper than my daughter not dancing right. Apparently, she overheard my sister's mother-in-law and aunt-in-law talking in the bathroom. They used slurs against my daughter and husband. They called me the black man's whore. The photographer said they were both drunk, but brother-in-law also made jokes around my sister earlier in the day, which she smiled at. She also thinks my family members heard it and is the reason they dropped out. So yeah, my daughter wasn't flower girl because unlike me, her aunt or the other flower girl, she doesn't have blue eyes and blonde hair. If you're reading this, Sarah and Frank, screw you and your family. My child is too good to be around trash like you both. Stay the heck away from us. And if anyone in my family knew the real story and didn't tell me, screw you too. Edit 4. Thanks everyone for the love and support, but especially thank you to the photographer who came forward. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention before I let them back into our lives. You're the real one. Edit 5. So I thought I'd answer a lot of questions that keep getting asked because I'm tired and will be going to bed soon. My parents are fully on my side, so are multiple other family members, the ones that aren't cut off. My daughter doesn't know the full story, but as treats for all of us, we plan to take her to Disneyland for Christmas and my parents have said they will join us. As for my sister, some people have mentioned she might be in an abusive relationship. Well, her husband is from old money, and his family is very well connected in England, which is something she always wanted, so I don't know. But if she is in a bad relationship and afraid, it's up to my husband to forgive her, not me. I found out 3 family members knew, including a bridesmaid that dropped out knew. I've seen a lot of people making fun of the fact me and my husband cried ourselves to sleep the night my daughter found out. We didn't cry about her not being a flower girl, nor did we cry while she was awake. We cried because our child was extremely hurt, and there's no worser feeling than your child thinking they're not good enough for someone they love. For the commenter who was extremely nasty about my husband crying, a father's love is equal to a mother's. Men do and are allowed to have emotions. Do better. Update. Am I the a-hole for wanting to break up with my girlfriend after her ex's funeral? Original post. So my girlfriend and I have been together for about 4 years. She used to be close friends with her ex. However, he tried to make a move on her while she and I were together, so she cut off their friendship. They knew each other for about 10 years. They were high school sweethearts and stayed together throughout college. They broke up because he did not want kids. He died recently, and my girlfriend was invited to the funeral. While I wasn't happy, so to speak, to see my girlfriend cry about this guy, I swallowed my emotions and offered my full support. She asked me to come with her, and here's where things get messy. She kept talking about she wishes they never broke up in the first place, and that she's never met someone who she loved as much as him. She made a speech about how she says that if things had been different, they'd be a happy family with children. I had to force myself not to say anything then. Now we're back home, she hasn't said anything about what she said. I'm so close to just leaving, but I just don't know if she only said that out of grief. Now for the top comments before reading the update. She would have left you in a heartbeat if he had told her he was ready for kids. You're not her first choice. Yeah, imagine when the guests head over to Opie's girlfriend. Guests and family. That was a lovely speech. They look at Opie. Oh, who are you? Opie, her boyfriend. Guests and family. Oh, it's messed up. Me? I'm just a guy filling in for the dead guy. OP, you do not want to be Will Smith. You do not. GTFO. Not a-hole. People can say, be understanding. She's dealing with a heavy loss. But that doesn't magically fix the sting of the words she said that hurt you. If this was within 6 months of the breakup, maybe I'd be more understanding. However, you've been together for 4 years. They ended due to his desire to not have children. So not only is she hurting you, she's lying about the dead guy by telling everyone the fantasy life she'd imagined for them, as if it was holy writ. She's more than allowed to feel grief due to their decade-long history. However, she's not allowed to treat you as less than, second, or just good enough. You 100% deserve someone who puts you first always, with very rare exceptions, and this ain't one of them, honey, as I'm sure you've done for her. Heck, you went with her to the funeral of her ex because she asked. You were there for her, and she showed you where you rank in the grand scheme of things. Leave for you. Choose to put yourself first, because guess what? She showed you in a room full of people where you rank. You deserve more than this betrayal. Maybe by if things had been different, she meant if he'd wanted kids, or something like that. If she's already in if-only land, it's not a huge stretch for her to think if he'd wanted kids, we would have stayed together. And if we'd stayed together, we would have had kids. And maybe he wouldn't have been in the situation that led to his death because of the butterfly effect or something. Who knows? OP should leave her. It sucks to be the settled for backup, and she shouldn't be saying these kinds of things where he can hear. Or honestly, even where he can't. Now for the update. Hello everyone. It's been a stressful couple of days, and my post got a lot more attention than I expected. It was overwhelming, to be honest. It's been a week since the funeral itself, and I've been talking to some friends, as well as reading comments on my last post. Truth be told, I've been hesitant to talk about this to my girlfriend because she's still a bit depressed. She's not talking to me at all, and I've been taking care of everything around our place. She's just been laying in our bed. I've tried to talk to her, but she just shuts me out. I've been reflecting on our past relationship and realized a couple things. My girlfriend was never as passionate with me as she was with her ex. She never did anything as romantic or thoughtful for me when compared to her ex. For example, she's never gone traveling for more than 3 days with me, but she traveled often with her ex, sometimes for years. It's not like I haven't offered. I was simply told to get over it, and that each relationship is different, and people said stuff like, if she wanted to be with her ex, she would be. Something also to note is that some of you actually pointed my attention to another post. One that's about a girl going to her ex's funeral. I read a post, and I don't know if it's actually my girlfriend or not. Some details are different, like our age. We're both 30. Also, I never said anything about breaking up with her for going to the funeral. I wasn't exactly happy to see her mourn the guy who wanted to sleep with her while she was with me, but I didn't actually say anything. Now, the post admitted that she actually cheated. I thought about this for a second, but it doesn't matter. Because if she cheated or not, I already broke up with her. I did have a talk with her. She refused to at first by not responding to me, but when I told her I was leaving, she finally said something to me. I basically told her that I feel crap ever since she said those things at a funeral. How I feel like she would rather be with her ex than me. That I felt like her second choice. She started to yell at me, calling me selfish and that she's lost one of the most important people in her life, and I shouldn't make this about me. I was too tired to try to yell back. My things were already packed up. I'm staying with my parents for a while. Our lease doesn't expire for a few months, so I don't know what she's planning to do. I don't know what to do now. I thought I was gonna marry this girl someday and have kids, but she wanted someone else all this time. I appreciate all the comments, and I don't know if I'm gonna post another update, but thank you. Calling me selfish and that she's lost one of the most important people in her life, and I shouldn't make this about me. Here's the thing. She didn't lose one of the most important people in her life. She made it clear that she lost the most important person in her life. From your other post, she kept talking about she wishes they never broke up in the first place and that she's never met someone who she loved as much as him. She made a speech about how she says that if things had been different, they'd be a happy family with children. I don't know what other conclusions to read from this. I could certainly see feeling sad or down when an ex that you've known for a significant part of your life passes away. But that's not only what occurred. She wishes they never broke up. She's never met someone who loved her as much as he did. And if things had been different, they would still be together. In each of those thoughts, you are, at best, second place. Never includes you. She is with you because they broke up. She doesn't think you can ever love her as much as he did. And if things were different with him, she would not be with you. Is she mourning him and the significance he had had in her life? Or is she mourning someone she still loved and mourning the loss of the opportunity to still be with him? You're not selfish, and you do not want to be with someone where you will always be a placeholder. I think this is an excellent take. I have a friend whose ex died a while back. They were together for a few years, and they ultimately broke up because of incompatible life goals. They were both really torn up about it, and it took her a while to move on, but she did. As time went on, she would sometimes talk about things in their relationship that weren't that great, or she looked back on now and saw some other issues that were glossed over in the moment. All in all, she reflected on their relationship fondly, but it just didn't work out. She dated some other people, but nothing serious. Then, he died in a tragic accident and she was devastated. And I truly understood. Their relationship had been quite serious, probably the most serious one she'd ever had. They broke up so they could both be happier living the lives they wanted, but then he died. He's not out there living his life. He's gone. It took time, nearly a year, but today she truly has mourned him and moved on. There was no what ifs or the one who got away. They made their decision back then that there was no future between them. She hadn't been pining for him the whole time. What she mourned was him losing his future and the pain that his loss caused his family. She's back out there dating again and really does seem ready now. OP's ex clearly hoped that her ex would change his mind and had been dating OP to keep herself occupied until that time. Now that her ex is gone, he's going to forever be on a pedestal and no one else will ever measure up. I hope she gets some therapy so she can move on for real and stop lying to herself about what she's doing. Man, you are doing the right thing. You absolutely deserve someone who loves you as the first priority. I wish you all the best for your future. OP has finally decided to stand up for himself and we are all proud of him for doing it. For her to scream that she lost one of the most important people in her life really dodged a bullet. This, like, damn ma'am, did you hear nothing he just said to you? Nope, because she only cares about herself. Might be why her ex dumped her. Hard to date somebody when their head is up their own behind. Last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for rolling my eyes at my boyfriend's proposal because it took 25 years of me begging? Original post. Yesterday after dinner, my 52 female boyfriend of 30 years, 53 male, proposed to me. He just walked towards me holding a box and said to open it. It was a ring, and I had pictured this moment a million different times, but never thought I'd be so apathetic. My boyfriend then said that he was retired now and wants to kick back and enjoy life with me, and would love to do it all with me as his wife. A nice speech and all, but from the 5-year mark of our relationship onwards, I had been making clear my deep desire to marry, and was consistently dismissed, given empty promises, gaslit. We had been through the gamut with therapy, and one counselor implied that me telling him we needed to go to therapy and getting his butt on a couch still means nothing if his mind has been made up. I was in denial about the fact he was just giving me the false illusion of progress to stall. My boyfriend and I have 4 kids. The oldest 3 are adults, while the youngest is 15 female who was sleeping over elsewhere when this all went down. All of our kids went to a private school filled with typical Southern soccer parents. I had to endure PTA mom's jabs about me not sharing a last name with my kids. Preteen years were hell, because the other kids would taunt my kids by saying, "Your dad would rather sin and go to hell than marry your mom." My boyfriend's mom would tell him marriage would be selfish on my part. It is just a piece of paper. My boyfriend ended up rising up the ranks until he became an executive. I was his stay-at-home mom, so I felt like there was always a power imbalance, exasperated by the fact I could be tossed away any time. I partly did stay because I wanted my kids to have the best life, and because I felt lucky and proud to be partnered with such an intelligent, successful man, but also because I loved him. These past few years, my boyfriend's career has taken a downturn. He will never be poor, but a company he was part of took a nosedive during 2020, and he had made enemies out of associates and board members. He decided to step back from his role and take the generous severance agreed upon. Now he is living off his investments and wants to relax. I did not like how his career ended and how he treated people, and had been deciding whether I wanted to leave and find somebody else after our youngest turns 18. So, the proposal was a shock because I should hope that he noticed I have avoided conversations about the future as of late. He rattles on about downsizing our house so we can travel, and also cutting back on our other expenses. But we're not married, so it's all his money/house anyway. He did notice my eye roll and was offended. He asked what's wrong, and I said that suddenly now that he's downsizing I'm good enough to marry? He got mad and said that now that he's downsizing and no longer an executive, I suddenly think our relationship is disrespectful, and started implying I was a gold digger. I was so angry I walked out. I said I might just go out looking for a respectful relationship because I don't know what respect is anymore. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. If you were begging for him to propose, why did you stay for 25 years? Because I was a stay-at-home mom of many kids, and he was this big executive, so I felt if I offended him in any way, he'd use his influence to screw me in a custody battle, or otherwise make my life miserable. He has noticed that you've been pulling away from him. That's why he's chosen to propose now. If he wanted to marry you, he'd have done it years ago. This is just an attempt to make you stay by giving you what you wanted. The retirement is just a convenient excuse. Some studies seem to indicate that as men experience a drop in testosterone, they suddenly start to value relationships a lot more, with both their kids and their partners. Depending on just how poorly they've treated everyone, they may find they've burned those bridges, leaving them no choice but to get a new wife and start a whole new family at 50. I'm sort of kidding about that last bit, but it's why I'm not sure what I make of the studies. They provide convenient cover for do-over families instead of putting in the work to atone for the harm one has caused. All of that to say, it's theoretically possible that now that his career has failed, he realized just how much he does in fact want OP to be his permanent partner. But it's still crappy of him to think just because his mind has finally changed, she should be happy. And in her shoes, I'd walk. What did he expect? What did you expect? Like seriously, you wanted a marriage but you stayed half your life with someone so set on making you the bad guy for wanting that until recently? Why would you stay with someone like that? Why would you reproduce with someone like that? Several times. It's just disappointing for your kids to suffer that much bullying for this. Like all for nothing. I don't know who the a-hole is, but unfortunately for him, he kind of missed his chance. And unfortunately for you, you put yourself in a box. Not the a-hole for rolling your eyes, but everyone sucks here. You for enabling him to do you dirty for 25 years. Get all of the privileges of being a husband without ever being your husband. You begged someone to marry you, a value you have which he didn't, and you proceeded to have several children with him. Like, girl, stand up please. He wasted your whole life and now he's playing in your face. Now for the update. At the time of my original post, my boyfriend and I had not spoken since the engagement fight. I've been with him long enough to know that when he goes and closes the bedroom door before I get in, that's a signal that I should sleep in one of the guest rooms. So I did that. However, this morning I broke the ice. I told him about how dismissed I felt over the years. I also said that we are both in our 50s, and these last few years have taught us that people at work who kiss the ground you walk on one day can easily turn on you the next. And true partners in life are valuable and hard to find, so I wished he'd treat me like I'm valued. Instead, he treats me like he thinks prettier, better, and just as loving is always around a corner. I apologized for the eye roll, but told him that if he wants marriage, I want a quick committed timeline and genuine happiness from him to be marrying me. I don't need a big party. He listened to me and finally asked if this was about the money/security. He told me that being an executive's girlfriend required things of me, but if I wanted to work, I could have. He said he doesn't think I'm grateful enough for the position in society I was in due to his career. But that is not mad about the eye roll. He said he didn't succeed by being that sensitive. He went on to say I was not his prisoner, so I can leave at any time. But to remember he won't tolerate being made my prisoner either via manipulation. He said that for what it's worth, the engagement ring is mine and I could do whatever I wanted with it. He will also not be accused of not providing for his daughter, so be assured he won't shirk child support. But that, it felt what I said before, was emotional blackmail. So he no longer wants to go forward with marrying, but says if I'd like to travel with him, that's fine. Him traveling is non-negotiable, and so if I wanted to get a job, it would have to be a remote job. It was a sad conversation, and I spent a few hours alone after that. I felt I had nothing to lose, so I just asked him if he would support me getting an associate's, but that most associates for technical careers were in person. He then dropped the bombshell that if I wasn't traveling with him, he wasn't going to go those periods without sex. I was astounded by his callousness, because he's back to take it or leave it. We fought again with me saying we're all feeling the effects of age. I've supported him through health issues, and if he thinks he can just find somebody who has that loyalty I've shown him, he's wrong. At this point, I'm looking for ways out. I can't say I haven't been tempted to say I'll travel with him and try to get a remote job, but also realize how resentful I am that he continues to need to have the power in the relationship. I don't think I'll ever know my value truly, but something's telling me there has to be a better out there, at least in a partner.